But then something unexpected happened. The flight attendant picked up the intercom and addressed the cabin, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "there's something we all need to talk about." Her words hung in the air like a challenge. Eyes darted from her to the girl, and the whispers stopped altogether. Everyone leaned in, waiting. What was she about to say? What could possibly justify this moment of tension, this pause in everyone's journey? No one could have anticipated what would happen next. The cabin fell into an uneasy silence as the flight attendant paused, gripping the intercom tightly. Her next words came slowly, each one landing heavily in the air. "This young girl," she said, her voice steady but trembling with emotion, "has been through something no child should ever have to face." Gasps rippled through the cabin, and all eyes turned to the girl, who sank further into her seat, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. As the passengers filed off the plane, many paused to exchange a kind word or a smile with the girl and the flight attendant. The girl clutched her backpack, but this time, her grip wasn't out of fear. It was as if she had gained a sense of strength from the support of strangers. The flight attendant stood by the exit, her usual polite smile replaced with something softer, more genuine. Outside the terminal, a group of passengers who had pooled their resources approached the girl and handed her an envelope. "This is for you," one of them said. "We hope it helps." The girl's eyes widened, and for the first time that day, she broke into a smile. As she disappeared into the crowd, the flight attendant watched her go, a bittersweet expression on her face. In that brief moment, the courage of one girl and the compassion of one woman had brought out the best in everyone. The passengers walked away, each quietly reflecting on how small acts of kindness could make an unforgettable difference. It all started with a routine flight, but what happened next no one could have predicted. A flight attendant, admired for her professionalism and charm, made a decision that left passengers stunned and changed one young girl's life forever. In the heart of this story is a courageous Black girl whose quiet strength would challenge stereotypes and inspire an entire plane full of people. What could have been just another flight in the skies turned into a moment of reckoning, an unexpected event that revealed the power of compassion and courage in the face of adversity. As tensions rose and whispers spread through the cabin, the flight attendant made a move that shocked everyone. Was it the right call? How did the passengers react? And most importantly, how did this brave young girl become the catalyst for change? Stay tuned, because this is a story you'll never forget. The flight had started out like any other. The passengers were settling in, sipping their drinks, scrolling through their phones. The young girl, seated near the middle of the plane, seemed quiet but focused. She clutched her small backpack tightly, her eyes scanning her surroundings with a mix of curiosity and caution. At first glance, she didn't seem out of place. But something about her caught the flight attendant's attention. As the hours passed, subtle tensions began to rise. A whispered comment here, a sideways glance there. It wasn't clear what had triggered it, but soon the mood in the cabin began to shift. Some passengers seemed to notice the girl's unease, while others appeared indifferent. The flight attendant, however, was watching closely. She walked past the row several times, her expression unreadable, until suddenly she stopped. Passengers turned to look, confusion and curiosity filling the air. What was happening? Why now? The plane hummed steadily, but the atmosphere inside was anything but calm. The flight attendant stood in the aisle, her gaze locked on the young girl. Passengers leaned closer, whispering to one another, trying to piece together what was happening. The girl froze, her hands gripping the armrest tightly, her small frame seemingly shrinking under the weight of the attention. Some passengers began speculating aloud, their voices carrying a mix of curiosity and judgment. Maybe she's traveling alone, one person said. Is something wrong with her ticket? Another guessed. A few rows back, an older woman frowned. Why are they making such a scene over a child? She muttered to her seatmate. The flight attendant leaned down, speaking softly to the girl. Whatever she said was too quiet for anyone else to hear, but the girl's eyes welled up, her expression a mix of fear and defiance. What had triggered this moment? Why was this young girl, seemingly alone, at the center of so much attention? And what was the flight attendant planning to do next? The tension in the cabin felt like it could snap at any moment. The flight attendant straightened, her face calm but determined. She turned to a nearby passenger and whispered something before walking to the front of the plane. The murmurs grew louder. The girl stayed rooted in her seat, her shoulders trembling slightly. Passengers began to choose sides, though no one fully understood the situation. Some exchanged concerned glances, whispering about whether the girl was in trouble. Others seemed annoyed, rolling their eyes and muttering, "Why can't we just get on with the flight?" One man in a business suit stood to stretch, loudly asking, "Can't this wait until we land?" But then something unexpected happened. The flight attendant picked up the intercom and addressed the cabin, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "there's something we all need to talk about." Her words hung in the air like a challenge. Eyes darted from her to the girl, and the whispers stopped altogether. Everyone leaned in, waiting. What was she about to say? What could possibly justify this moment of tension, this pause in everyone's journey? No one could have anticipated what would happen next. The cabin fell into an uneasy silence as the flight attendant paused, gripping the intercom tightly. Her next words came slowly, each one landing heavily in the air. "This young girl," she said, her voice steady but trembling with emotion, "has been through something no child should ever have to face." Gasps rippled through the cabin, and all eyes turned to the girl, who sank further into her seat, her eyes glistening with unused tears.